and welcome to a very special edition of the Geeks Who Like Sports Leaderboard interviews. As always, I'm Ray Carcillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California, joined by my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. But joining us today, a very special guest. I wanted to do that as fast as I could. I tried to speed that up, that one. But because he has many, many titles, and I want to make sure we fit them all in. He is the owner of PlaceToBeNation.com and the Place to Be Nation Pop podcast feed. He is a member of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. He is also a supervising producer of post-production at A&E Television Networks. We call him AA the Enforcer because he's also a big wrestling fan, for those of you out there who know it. He's not Arn Anderson, though. He's Andy Atherton. Andy, how's it going, buddy?
I'm good.
Member of the Four Horsemen. The three of us here are three of the four. You need a fourth horseman.
We could be the triple threat if you want, which is
there you
the
go.
GW faction, which we won't name one of the members. But no, thank you for having me, guys. It is my honor, my pleasure. I love getting to talk to you guys. Shoes on the other foot now for the first time because you guys have been on my show each a few times. So I am very looking forward to chatting with you guys and haven't gone. And you know, it's so much cooler the way you say it, Ray. Because I'm like, really? Oh, that sounds. I just think I just do what I do, but the way play-by-play Ray says it sounds cool to me.
Thank you. Well, it's kind of, you know, it's what I do. It's that old announcer voice, right? Like, you know, the Michael Buffer in me, I guess. I don't know. That's good, but of course,
let's get ready to podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
You just made 150,000.
Yeah. A word. Yeah.
So we've got a lot to talk to you about. And we got a lot to talk about with Andy because there's so much going on in the world of sports, the world of entertainment, and it's always great talking to you because you're like us, right? You have a foot in both realms. You can talk, you can go either way. You're very flexible. But we're gonna start off with sports because we have that background there behind you, and you are like me, Yankees, Giants, Rangers fan. We don't talk about basketball. But yeah, so I just wanted to get a little bit about you, about your background. How did you get into, obviously, the Yankees, the Giants, and the Rangers? And, of course, as we're recording this today, the Rangers unfortunately lost in the first round of the the qualifying round. So
August 1st.
giving the day. Yeah.
Just so anyways, August 1st, 2020 today when we're recording this.
Yes, exactly. So just to we like to put the date out there so that folks know. So hopefully the Rangers, by the time you listen to this, the Rangers will have come back and won the next 3 games and put Carolina in their past. But we'll see what happens. Andy, tell us about.
This isn't a video game, Ray. This is real life. With that said, the Flyers haven't played yet, so I'm going to stop while I'm ahead.
Yes, that's a good idea. But Andy, tell us, how did your fandom start?
Well, like most kids or boys, you know, you kind of do what your father does and root for your father does. I'm from New York, born and bred New Yorker. I live in Connecticut now. I've lived here for almost 20 years, but grew up right outside the city in Westchester County, and born in Yonkers, New York. My dad and my mom both are from the Bronx, and my dad grew up a huge Yankees fan, a huge Giants fan, a huge Rangers fan. Like, basketball was never really his sport. He'll watch it once in a while and say, "Oh, look, the Knicks are doing good, great, whatever." But you know,
it's been a long time since he could say that. So
yeah, he wanted to be he wanted to play shortstop. He played when he was a kid. He actually got to pick his own middle name, and he picked Philip after the great Phil Rizzuto.
Nice.
Who actually was got an honorary doctorate at my college graduation. So that was a huge bump for me, getting to see the scooter while I'm sitting there at graduation. But yeah, he like that, and he has Giants season ticket holder for many years until they built MetLife with those damn PSLs. Grew up going to Giant games as far back as I can remember. Was a little kid and just kept going, and eventually started going on my own with my friends, and got to see a lot of great games there, a lot of craziness there. And as far as the Rangers, yeah, my dad actually had season tickets for the Rangers. He had a pair, but that was like before I was, you know, before I could remember, he got rid of them. But he had a lot of good friends, and he would get good seats for us. I've been to the Hockey All-Star game. I've been to many Ranger games. Sat almost next to Carol Alt when she was married to Ron Greshner and used to come to all the games. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and that was the big thing growing up in my house was the going to Yankee games, Ranger games, Giant games. You know, it was kind of like, you know, he would never disown me, but I was like, yeah, I kind of didn't really have a choice, but I love all those teams no matter what.
Awesome.
It's not a bad time period to be growing up in New York, to be fair. Like, even if you didn't want to go that way, I mean, all I see behind you is a lot of winning and a lot of empire. All right. You know, when I'm looking at you, you can see behind me, I got other teams and gritty and a cup. But you know, it's not my stuff.
Oh, it
you know what I
hasn't.
mean?
We haven't won all the time. I mean, the Rangers
Yes,
have only won one cup in my dad's lifetime.
Oh, just one.
Just one. That's
Just
it. We
one.
want more.
That's not,
I mean,
yeah,
the
you
that's
guys,
not a lot.
you guys are just
the 80s were Anthony
New York
Yankees.
fans kill me. You kill me. All of you kill me. It must be so hard not to win every year.
It's great
It
when
is
you have
hard.
such a dominant team, but when you have something and it kind of comes out of nowhere and you win, like nobody expected the Giants to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl twice.
Yeah.
So that was extra special.
We've done that too, just so you know. Okay, we're on the same.
Yeah, but you're just following in our footsteps. You did that after us. You only did it once.
You did that. You're right. You're right. I will remember this episode forever, Ray. No,
Now, New York sports are near and dear to my heart. I unfortunately don't get to go as much. Once it was a lot of things like my dad had would have customers or friends that would offer him tickets last minute, and it wasn't so easy when I moved 40 minutes away to be like, oh, you want to go to the Ranger game, want to go to this. And having the Giant tickets also was awesome because there's only 8 home games. They don't count the preseason.
Right. Yeah.
And what you could do is, though, for one home game, we used to be able to get like 10 pairs of Ranger tickets for not so bad seats at the Garden. So that kind of so when the Giant ticket games went away, the Ranger ticket games went away as well. But we still go once in a while, though.
Nice. Yeah, no, I miss going to. I've actually never been to MetLife. I've never been to the new stadium for the Giants. Because I moved to LA after that happened, and when I come back for the holidays, it's just ridiculous. Like you mentioned the PSLs, it's ridiculously expensive and near impossible to get any ticket that's actually worth a damn.
How much are we talking? Like with parking, how much are we talking for just a game? Like, I mean, it's got to be over $100 easy.
At least.
You're talking several hundred probably for the whole
day. For a family of 4, you say?
Oh, for a family of 4, you're probably looking at close to $1,000.
Let's just look at like one ticket, right? Like just because people can add it together, right? Like, I mean, what's parking at MetLife right now? Is it 50 or more? Is it Yankee Stadium 50? I know that.
Last time I was at MetLife was for WrestleMania 35. So
okay,
I think I paid $40 and I parked at the Meadowlands because we had at the arena because I had a tailgate to go to. But yeah, I think it was about $40 for that. So it would be 50 now, I would think, because it always increases.
So bare minimum, we're talking like you just go and come back nothing. It's at least $100 minimum.
Yeah,
right.
And that's like upper deck, like.
Yeah, like you can't. You're better off having a TV in your pocket.
I went to so the PSLs for my dad. Our tickets were on the 5-yard line, 37th row, visitor side. So right by where the tunnel is, where the players will come out.
Yeah,
covered, awesome, and they had they were $40,000 because it was $10,000 a seat for the PSLs, and my father's like, I'm not giving them $10. And I tried a couple of things. I tried to put in my name and go to the upper deck for $1,000 a seat, which was affordable at the time, and everybody else had the same idea, so we didn't get that. And it was sad because it was something that I grew up going to do, and I was looking forward to taking my kids a lot. I took my daughter when she was younger. She's 18 now, and my son went to his first game a few years ago. I can't remember exactly. I think it was 3 years ago. They were playing the Panthers. It was when the Panthers were undefeated. Went into MetLife, and the Giants actually gave him a little bit of a scare that game. So
it came under the wire. I think it was the last second field goal, that one. Yeah,
we were leaving, and then all of a sudden it started happening, and we stopped, and I'm like, come on. We stood in the the alleyway or whatever, and tried to watch it as best we could. That's
classic New York, by the way. You're losing so bad you think it's over. You start walking away, then things start to turn, but you're so far gone you can't quite go all the way back to your seat. But like you just kind of hang around in like the bowl or the alley, and then sometimes an usher will come along and move you along. But you just go to the next alley, next opening or whatever, and they just keep moving along. You kind of before you know you've made like 5 laps around the stadium, but you still see the game.
Yeah, we saw people because we were so close to the top of our section where our seats were. We were 40 rows, so we were only 4 rows in. We had that a lot would happen. People were trying to leave and come in. I remember leaving. I would never leave early unless I was with my dad until I got older and started understanding things.
Yeah.
When the Giants beat the living you-know-what out of the Vikings in the NFC Championship, I left.
41-0. Yeah.
I left at the end of the third quarter. I got home in time to watch the trophy ceremony and the start of the AFC Championship. It was great. It was that second NFC Championship I'd been to, Lee, by the way, in case you're
the only game I could compare to this is I'm looking at the photo of my brother and I last night. We were at the Stadium Series last year when the Flyers played the Penguins. And I remember, like, you know, when in my opinion is when you go to a Stadium Series game, it's obviously a little different than just going to a game. You're outside. You know, we were at Lincoln Financial Field where the Eagles play, and the Flyers are getting beat by, I think the Pens were up 3 goals or 2 goals, and it was kind of getting late in the game. And you know, a lot of people started leaving, which I remember thinking, like, I'm not leaving because of the nature of this game. This is a Stadium Series game. Mm-hmm. And the Flyers started coming back, and they tied it up late. And I remember, because I could see outside the stadium the people running back. And I remember thinking, like, they're not getting back in. You see the piles start to show up, like, you know, like before the game, people are waiting to get back in because they all want to be part of it. But I was like, this is why you don't leave. You don't leave if you don't, you know, especially in a hockey game. Football's a little different, obviously.
I hate leaving early. Football.
RIP. Yeah.
But you know, that was crazy. That NFC Championship, it was so bad. The parking situation, I was like in a makeshift spot that they made me park in by the horse track. So I knew it was just going to be sheer insanity. And there's no physical way that the Vikings were going to come back in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a situation where Ranger Islander game once. I can't remember exactly what year it was, but we left the game because I was with my dad. He's like, "Oh, we got to beat traffic, whatever." So we leave. The Rangers were up by 3 goals. When we got to our car, it was tied. Yeah. By the time we walked from Madison Square Garden to our car and whatever lot it was, a couple blocks away, it was tied. Yeah, you don't know what could happen sometimes in sports. So,
I never leave, especially when it comes to the Rangers, because they have a habit of blowing big leads.
It happened today. Like into the game today, they were down by 2 goals and then they came back and it was.
And they made it close. It was down, came down to the wire. It was a 3-2 loss. Again, we're recording this on August 1st, so we just after the Ranger game 1 of Rangers Hurricanes. But yeah, no, I never leave early. I never leave early. I've been in horrible conditions. One to the point where my mother was actually with me for once, because my mother's actually a Washington football team fan. We're not gonna call them by their other name, what they were when we saw the game. Because she grew up loving Joe Theismann and stuff like that. So that's going. You know, we actually had in our pre-interview conversation, we talked about how people in the Northeast don't necessarily root for the Yankees, the Giants, the Rangers, and it's because of who was popular, who was big at the time when they started getting into the sport. We all have friends who are Cowboys fans from New York and New Jersey. We all have friends. My mother is another example of that. She's a Washington fan. She loved Joe Theismann back when the Reds, when Washington was very, very good. For their first go around, I caught myself.
You did.
Look, we're gonna break ourselves of the habit. It's gonna be hard, but we're gonna do it. And what ended up
WFT and try not to say WTF. It's fun.
Right, exactly. And then what ended up happening is, but yeah, so it's Giants, Washington. It is torrential downpour. It is classic muddy football weather. My mother, he's like, at halftime, the Giants are up by like 3 touchdowns. She's like, I want to go home. And I'm like, you can go sit in the car. I ain't leaving. And mind you, I have this big puffy like winter coat, so it's absorbing all the water, and it's like 35 degrees, right? So it's cold, right? So, and I'm just like, the whole second half, I'm just clapping my hands, stomping my feet. First off, because they're winning, but second off, mostly just to stay warm and keep the circulation going, because I was drenched. My mother listened to the game in the second half in the car. She waited for me until I came out because I refused to leave. I didn't care that it was torrential downpour. Didn't care. But I refuse to leave. I'm one of those guys. So
yeah, I've had some issues with weather. One time I was about 10 years old, and a guy sitting next to me spilled orange juice all over my pants, and it was like 20 degrees. My pants froze. But
yeah,
my father, it's my dad's seats. Never were my seats. My dad's seats used to be in the end zone where the band would sit. The halftime band always had like a bench seats. And I remember sitting there a little bit as a kid, because I may have been 5 or 6. Don't remember the season, but my parents, my mom and my dad, my aunt and uncle all went to a Giant game. Probably, I think they were playing the Bears, if I'm not remember. And they had one of those army blankets, right? And they were covering themselves. It was like an ice storm. and they covered themselves, and they just couldn't take it anymore. And they go to leave, and the blanket was too heavy to lift up from the ice and snow.
Wow.
So I think my father or my uncle, it's a little fuzzy, wrote a letter to Wellington Mara and told him about that. Wellington Mara changed my dad's seats.
Wow.
He's like, here, I'll give you some of this covered. You're a loyal fan. You were with us at Yankee Stadium, at the Yale Bowl, everywhere. You know, let's move your seats. Yeah, it was, there's nothing like being covered at a football game. Because they play, no matter, as long as it's not lightning, they play in whatever condition it is. So.
Yeah, right, exactly. As long as it's not thunder and lightning, you're pretty much good. But, you know, we talking a lot about sports, talking about sports history. This season that everyone's playing now or starting to play is historical because of everything going on. You're wearing a Yankee shirt there, Andy. I'd be remiss not to get your opinion on, and again, we're recording this on August 1st. By the time this airs, there might not be a baseball season anymore. But what is your opinion on what's going on with baseball and the stoppages and the schedule changes and just everything happening with the sport right now?
I think it's a valiant effort, and I think, like every other sport, every other industry, everybody wants to get back to normal or what it was before March, so to speak. And I think that it's a tall task. It's really difficult because how much COVID can spread once somebody may catch it, and you may not know you have it, and the conditions, you know, the bubble thing seems like the way to go, maybe.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, the Marlins get it. You know, that's the thing. It's like you can do all this work, all this effort, and then all of a sudden, in like a day or two, dominoes could fall. It's a house of cards that at any time. So I'm of the opinion with most things, it's like, guys, let's just, you know, we sacrifice this year so we have it next year. If we just keep trying these little things, yeah, it makes people happy and all that. But could it cost us into next year? When we could just huddle down. I mean, I'm not going to try to get like political or anything like that, but just huddle down and just say, you know, that's why I like you. I play MLB The Show, you know, because that gives me my fix. You know, yes. I'm in a Madden league. You know, I'm getting my sports that way for now because I'm not getting it the way I want to get it or I'm used to getting it. I mean, you know, players are opting out. It's not asterisk season. Like you're the champions this year of this year. It doesn't matter. You know, they're the guy, you know, the same thing about the steroid era people. Like when it comes to the Hall of Fame, it's like they played in that era. That's what the era was. This is the year that was. So you're a champion of this year. You were the best team of this year. There's no asterisk, no nothing like that. I give them, you know, props for trying, but I'm not holding my breath to that. I think at least hockey and basketball may have a chance, but I don't know if baseball is going to make it through the whole abbreviated season.
Ray and I have talked about baseball in depth over the last couple months, and we're again, depending on when you watch this, we will have spoken about it on the main episode this week as well. But I'm not as forgiving, Andy, as you are of them right now. I'm pretty pissed off, to be honest with you. They were the last league to announce their comeback, and then suddenly were the first league to come back. And the more of the onion that peels back, not only does it show they were very illy prepared for this, but the complacency on the leadership to say things like, okay, teams, you decide what happens if you get COVID. Players, there's no real restrictions. I mean, looking at it now in hindsight, and again, I can say this, and Ray can back this up too. You know, we've been saying, like, what are you thinking with not doing bubble cities? Why are you having these guys travel? And then on top of it, you know, and again, this is a hindsight 2020 type statement, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, you thought these multi-million-dollar athletes were going to just stay in their homes and just, you know, you get the Miami going to nightclubs. Yeah. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? Now, this is what I get worried about, because again, we are going to discuss this super in depth on the main episode this week, and I don't mind discussing a little bit now. And this is what we discussed with everybody we've talked about on Leaderboard and everything for the last month. It's okay right now because it's like, okay, it's a problem. If a player dies, which we have to start realizing now with the rate that's spreading in baseball is becoming a little concerning, or someone goes on an intubator or something is really sick, you can't come back from that, right? We talk about scars on the game. That's going to make the Astros look silly, like what happened with the Astros. So, you know, we had discussed this, you know, if they're going to keep moving forward, which I'm actually not completely against, all right, because there is a way to do it. It's stop the season for 2 weeks, pause it again, get your bubble city set up somewhere in the South, or just get some bubble cities set up, plan the World Series in a southern city with a dome, right? Or in a city with a dome, right?
Or just a dome in general,
right? And just play the season, because here's the deal. The way it's going right now, it will be canceled. So my attitude is, if it's canceled now or it's canceled later, it doesn't really matter. It's going to look the same, right? But it takes some action right now. And then after what I've seen from the NHL today and what the NBA is doing, keeping in mind too, today's the first day. I'm not saying that there's no danger. I mean, they have a long way to go, obviously, but the presentation today was phenomenal. The way they're broadcasting it, the clear understanding from everyone involved, from the players all the way up to Gary Bettman, that, look, this is a delicate situation. It needs to be done right. And again, the NHL was the first league to announce their comeback and the last one to start in terms of time between, right? So, I was mad at baseball before coronavirus, just with how they handled the Astros. And then this happens. And then obviously they suspend a player for 8 games for nothing. And it's just like, guys, I mean, I knew you were out of touch. I never believed that any athlete that gets paid millions of dollars or any organization's in touch. But this is like getting to a level now, like, I don't want to watch it anymore. Like, you're losing my interest, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a Yankee fan, so it's a little different, right? But I'm just saying that it's gone too far. Like, what are you doing? And I think we may see, for the first time in a very long time, I may be wrong, a commissioner in professional sports be asked to leave sooner than expected, because this is a mess. I mean, this is way worse than anything I think we could have thought of. So anyway, I didn't mean to go on a tangent there, but it's like again, I think all sports gave, as you said, a valiant effort to understand that, like, we need to come back for the people. But baseball's effort, beyond just saying they need to do it, has been piss poor. And it's just we talked about integrity, right? It's all about integrity, right? This season, it's gone. There's no integrity anymore in the season right now. So anyway, I went on too long there, but I had to get that.
No, you made all valid points, but people, it seems like, want to get all the props but not take the responsibility. That's what it sounds like in baseball. And it's you're trying to please this, please that. You don't want to rankle the wrong people. And the fact that these players are going out and they know that they're in such close contact, that you can't do these sports without being in close contact. And wearing a mask is, some players, I give Clint Frazier a lot of credit. He's playing when I was playing, well, but could you play hockey with a mask on the whole time? I mean, you're constant breathing and all that stuff. I mean, they'll develop a certain wearable mask for certain sports? I don't know, but you're in such close contact. I mean, baseball is not really a contact sport, but there's no social distancing.
Well, especially in the dugout, in the clubhouse. And that's where the thing is, and that's why it's come out today. Yahoo News and ESPN have both reporting that Manfred's thinking about pulling the plug because the players aren't taking this seriously enough. And definitely if there's any sport that can wear a mask and get away with it, it's baseball. And you're starting to see more players are starting to wear a mask, but it's still not universal. And and also, a lot of players have also complained about Chris Rizzo of the Cubs complained the other day, the rain out between the Cubs and the Reds. They sat in the clubhouse on top of each other for like 4 hours before baseball just called the game. So it's like, and I know you guys have joked because I also said this with the Washington Yankee game, but also the Yankees were ahead that game. But like, seriously though, you shouldn't be waiting 3-4 hours with these guys crammed into a clubhouse before you call a game. It's not worth it.
Yeah,
Bubble cities would have solved this.
I remember. Did it go 5 innings, or was it already? Was it not
the Yankee game? They won.
The Yankee game was a 5. Yeah, it was a game. And the same thing the night against Baltimore, which because the Yankees, of course, just have the worst weather luck in the world. There was a 6-inning game already, and they sat in the clubhouse for another hour and a half before the game started back up.
Here's the deal, and I'm in the sports business guy here, right? This is the difference, okay? And Andy, you brought up the NHL and the close quarters. They are literally, and I implore all of you to look this up. They are literally barricaded within their hotel. And the only time they leave their hotels, they go on a bus to the rink, and they have multiple buses, so they're not sitting next to each other. Oh. If anyone gets COVID inside that quarantine, I'd say it's extremely unlikely at this point. Right. And when I say barricaded, they're not allowed to leave. To give you an idea, how much different this is than the MLB. The NHL has put punishment forward that if you get this thing or you break the quarantine, your team's losing a draft pick.
And huge
right?
fines
and
too.
money.
Yeah.
And money. So baseball's attitude was, well, we're not going to do that. And it just shows you there's some glaring pillars here that are falling down. And I give the NHL a lot of credit. And here's the thing, the athletes bought in, and the NHL also took better care of their athletes. When every NHL player arrived in their hotel room, there were pictures of their family in there that the NHL provided. So they clearly get it. All right. Now, again, NHL players are paid very handsomely. They're not paid what baseball players are paid. I mean, there's a major difference in that.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is Lord of the Flies type stuff here. All right. And these players are now literally putting each other in danger. Not to mention, you're starting to see really quick which franchises have a real grip on their culture and which ones don't. Like, I'm not shocked that the Marlins did this, right? I don't think you'd ever see the Yankees do this. I really mean that. Or the Red Sox, for that matter. I know
the Yankees have made a lot of statements about how they're doing the best they can by the guidelines. I mean, even Jordan Montgomery, the pitcher who won the game yesterday against the Red Sox, he came out and he said, he's like, look, we feel we have a legit chance to do something special this year. None of us want to derail that possibly by getting COVID and putting that at risk. Winning a championship is the most important thing to us. The Marlins, obviously a team that probably didn't think they even had a chance to win a championship. So what do they care?
They want to party.
Right.
Yeah. And then on top of it, here's another thing too. Like, Ray, what's the Yankees record right now?
5-1.
So I've only seen 3 Phillies games this year.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure we've played again yet. Like, I don't even know.
No, you literally had a whole week's game worth of canceled.
Like,
and now you have 7-inning doubleheaders to make them up.
And that's just, I'm looking right now and I'm trying to see, like, it looks like we're still not playing. So it says today, Phillies, Blue Jays, makeup date to be determined. Yeah. So like I've only seen 3 games. You've seen 6. It's like, what are we doing here? This is so unorganized. It's so unbecoming of baseball. Like I said, the metric, Andy, for you, the metric that Ray and I used with like continuing or starting or finishing the season under this environment was integrity. The integrity of the championship.
Yep.
Hockey has it. Basketball has it. We'll see what football does. Baseball has completely lost at this point. And the integrity, it doesn't matter if they get it right moving forward because of the start. You know what I'm trying to say? So
exactly.
They got it. It's just terrifying to me how glaringly mistreated this situation was. And it's a complete disregard to their players. I mean, I'll tell you what, when the new contract negotiation comes up, it's going to be a mess. The leverage that both sides are going to try and pull, it's going to be a mess. But that's just my opinion.
It's been a mess for a very long time. Goes back a few.
Why'd you bring up baseball?
Sorry. We're talking sports. It's the most prominent thing going on right now, unfortunately. But listen, we're talking about history, talking about you guys have a history. You know, me and Lee, everyone knows we've known each other since college. But how Andy got introduced, and I met Andy through Lee. Andy and Lee have a history. Andy, one of Lee's first jobs out of college was to go work with him and Andy. And Andy, what's the first
job?
Yes. Tell me the story about ADD Lee. Tell me about Lee working for you in his early days as a young professional in Connecticut. Let's lighten the mood.
Well, he didn't completely suck. No. No. He came in. Fresh-faced, ready to work, eager, did learn. I mean, here's the thing. I was the only staff person for my team at the time, and they hired 3 freelancers. Lee happened to be one of them, came in with a little bit of experience. You came in, I think you had worked in sports before. I think you interned. Another person was very good. Another guy who had some format experience, which was quite helpful. And having to oversee and train a few people at one time and maintain my duties was not easy at times, but Lee did a great job, and he learned. That was the best. That was the thing that was great about Lee, was that he always learned. And one of the best lessons I worked with Lee on was he comes up to me one day. He's like, Andy, I got 10 shows done in my edit session. And I looked at him and I go, Lee, only 5 passed QC, so you only got 5 done. I said
that's
to him,
quality control for everybody.
His shows he did his shows, but they weren't all there were little things here and there. Quite honestly, a lot of stuff could have been out of his control in terms of like, things that you just didn't see happen or pre-existing that wasn't caught in edit. I'm saying Lee was terrible at it, but but it was like, but the point was that he came in with this mentality that he's go, 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 go. And I'm like, slow down, quality, not quantity. We're not in news, not in sports. There's no breaking things that we got to do like that move broadcast news. We got to run a tape from one end of the building to the other and pop it in the machine in 10 minutes. No, it wasn't that. So that was really, and watch him grow as a person, as a producer. And then, when he finally, left and went on to the NHL, I was like a proud older brother. That's kind of how I am today with Lee. I look at Lee and I'm like, we did drift apart for some time during your travels around the world with your lovely wife and your beautiful family. But I'm glad that we've had a chance to reconnect, and I'm very proud of everything that you've accomplished since you were working with me.
Nice. The prodigal son returns. I'll tell you this. I'm sure my father's going to listen to this, and you'll understand this joke, but he'll like this too. And he said that he learned. Man, I learned a lot all the time because I did. I couldn't slow down. Now, this is what's funny about it for all the listeners. Now, I am 36 going on 37, which is about the age you were at the time.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right? Not to date you or anything like that. You still look like Ralph Macchio. We'll get into that later. But this is time is funny, right? And fates are funny. Now, I have the young person working for me that's a go, 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 go. One named Travis Bowman. If you follow anything that I do, you know who that is. Right? It's go, 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 go. And he'll come up to me, yo, man, I got 10 edits done today. But Travis, only 5 of them are good enough to go up online or something like that. It's just new medium. And every time that happens, I'm like, damn it, Andy. Every time. It's just, and then my kids are the same age as your kids were.
Yeah.
It's just come full circle. And I remember it's been more than once, but I look at Andy right now and I go, I deserve this, don't I? And he goes,
this is karma. This is karma.
It's like when your parents will say, I hope you have a kid just like you.
It's exactly what happened.
That happened to Lee too, actually.
Yeah. I know. But what's funny is that Andy, to be fair, and to return the compliment in a lot of ways. One is that I am like an older brother to Travis. It's very much the same type of feeling, right? But that job at A&E, right, was a major turning point for me. Now, there's a funny story in here too. I remember when I got hired, I was super excited. I was a post-production producer. I'm fresh out of college. This is a major stepping stone for me. I was driving from New Jersey to Connecticut every day, right? And I actually had turned down a job. I remember this with MSG at the time, which was a much lower level position because I remember thinking this is where I need to be right now. And I remember one time Andy comes up to me at the job and he goes, hey, how old are you? And I go, yeah, I'm 22. I was only 22. I think I just turned 22. I wasn't much older than 22. And I remember hearing the next day from you that like, nobody knew you were 20. We wouldn't have hired you if we knew you were 22. We thought you were like 26 years old. But I had a lot of experience on my resume, which was real. Right? Yeah. So everybody knows it was my resume. I had done a lot by 22.
The benefits of Montclair State University.
Exactly. I was just going to say, our broadcasting department in Montclair really set us up. Like from our junior year, when you graduated from that school, you might have had 3 or 4 jobs already on your resume or just work. Right.
Yeah.
But I remember that. But what Andy did, and again, it's funny because I'm using these lessons now reciprocally on Travis. But you did teach me about like, I always say double or triple checking. And believe it or not, it's not something I really got a grip on until I met you. And even for a year after I left, because I have this conversation all the time. Like you have to always assume something is wrong and triple check. Now, ADD Lee or 22-year-old Lee, there's nothing wrong. Everything I do is perfect. I did it as fast as I could and it's good. All right. Sounds like a hockey game, right? But you really gave me a pathway, just like my parents and my actual brother, but you really put me on a path that kind of has me where I am here today. And like I said, I really believe in that and like acknowledging your roots. You're a major factor in my success in life. And I don't know if I've ever actually really said that to you, but I want you to know that.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Lee. And I mean, for me, it was like, I saw that you had the goods, basically. You just needed to be reined in at the time, so to speak. So I didn't. That's a good way. It's okay to give lessons because it benefited me as well. If I could get you on the straight and narrow, it was less work for me. That was less redirecting. It was like, well, that's how it is. It's like when you have somebody that under you is less experienced, and you want to teach them to do it the right way because you don't want to have to go and do it again or have them do it again. And it was a tough time too, because I you know, like I said, I was married. I had two. I mean, my daughter was about 5. We had just had my son in 2007.
Yep.
And I just remember I have a Post-it note on my cube still. It's been there now probably like 13 years. I would always work. I would always be in at 2 days a week. I had a set schedule because I was staff and I was also senior. And I would be in edit Mondays day and Tuesday night, and then I would be, you know, prep the rest of the week. So after 2 straight days of edit, a baby and a little one at home, I would come in Wednesday mornings, always kind of groggy, and I had a PA working for me who I refer to as my lackey, and would come over and just blah, 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 and I would literally put my hand up like this, like I wouldn't say a word, and just not till 2 o'clock on Wednesday. Don't talk to me till then. And it has she wrote a thing called "Don't bust Andy's chops on Wednesdays." And that Post-it's still on my desk, and I look at when I actually ever do see my desk again, because I've been working remotely for 4 or 5 months. So, but yeah, no, it was.
We gotta get you that T-shirt made. Yeah,
it was a good time though.
Wednesdays.
Yeah,
it was family.
I mean, look. Also, you kind of look out for the next generation, because they're the ones that you never know when it can turn around. I mean, my first job was at the Outdoor Life Network. I was a PA. Got crapped on basically for 2 years, but I learned. I got my hands dirty. I learned some lessons, and I think always need somebody to look out for you, because actually the guy who was the head of the network, the senior VP or whatever it was, hired somebody to come in and be the VP of production, because that guy had hired him many years ago as a PA. So you think like, all right, well, you know, this kid could be something's one day, and I want to help him out. And also, you know what, I liked you as a person. I mean, there was I remember there was one day I think we talked about this when you were on my show, and where I literally had to grab you. It was almost like we were a sports team. Literally, it was almost like I literally grabbed you, and like me, because I thought I saw you. I don't know if you were going to cry, you were going to explode. You just looked very like something was percolating, was going to like go like this. I literally grabbed you out, brought you outside to calm you down and talk to you, and like not talk to you as like, you know, somebody here, just face to face, talk to you, and I kind of give you like a pep talk and be like, look, relax, you made a mistake, whatever it was, and like, you got this, okay? I will help you, but you gotta come with me though. You know, you gotta get to where I want you to be. And then everything's going to get a lot better. And it did after that. I think that was a great turning point at that time for you.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Andy, and Ray can attest to this too. One of the unfortunate things I think that's going on in the workplace really since that time is a lot of people don't get that. It's just you kind of get crapped on and like, hey, suck it up. Yep. The thing is, I think, you know, I work in business management, as you both know. A lot of times people don't realize how far it can go just to say, hey, just take a breath. Like, I'm here for you. You know, we're part of a team here. You know what I mean? That made a big deal to me. I know exactly the moment you're talking about, because it did turn me. You know what I mean? Like again, the other thing too is like, after, keep in mind, I was 22 after college. No excuses here. After college, you know, your mid-20s is a tough time, because you've been going through this thing your entire life where you're getting graded A, B, C, D, F. And then all of a sudden you get out and you're just fired. There's no grade. You know, nobody cares how well you're doing. You're just fired. And it's like, it's tough to get your head around that. You know, I will tell you one funny story from this time period. I don't remember if you were here this day, but this was an amazing thing that happened to me. So I was a freelancer. So we had a freelancer's lunch one day. I remember we went to this little kind of outdoor bar place. Nobody drank or anything like that. At least I don't think we did. I didn't.
Oh, yeah. It was during the summer outing, because I was a freelancer for many years. So I was like part of that. You know, they're all going on a little summer outing to Playland or on a boat and drinking. You know what? We're taking a long ass lunch. You know, kind of thing.
And that's what we did.
I think so. It must have been a day of our summer outing, which I don't think
it was hot.
On that, actually.
I remember it was really hot. Okay, because this is what happened. I was sitting at the table. No, it's okay, because this I learned a lesson this day. I was sitting at the table. Ray, you're gonna love this story. Mm-hmm. And this waitress spills an entire tray of hard alcoholic beverages all over me. The whole thing. Okay. And it's like, I live in New Jersey at the time. I'm an hour and a half from my house. Not like I can just go home and change. So I'm like, I'm just going to have to live with this the rest of the day. And I remember two things. I remember when it all fell on me, because it was all ice drinks. I remember the first thing was like, oh God, that feels good. because it was so hot outside. Now, here's the thing. I was really naive at the time. So I'm thinking like, well, I didn't do anything wrong here. There's just somebody spilled some drinks on me. I'll go back to work, finish the day. And that's the way it is. So obviously I reeked of alcohol. I just reeked of alcohol.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember I go back to my job and like I'm getting weird looks. And then my boss, named Doug, calls me. He's like, I need to see you in my office right now. Right. And I'm like, all right, I wonder what happened. So he comes there. He's just looking. I remember he's just like, dude, like looking at me. He's like, are you drunk? I was like, what? He was like, are you drunk? I was like, I haven't had a drink at all today. And he's like, you smell like you drank like 55 Jack and Cokes. I was like, that's funny because that's what fell on me today at lunch. And I remember like I had to have someone come by and corroborate the story. Because like again, we're talking about me. I'm very like this all the time. So like it just, he didn't know what was going on. And I remember like I was okay at the end of the day, but like he really thought it was like, he's like, did you get drunk on the job? Like, I don't know if they were looking for something or not, but I'll never forget that because that's the moment I realized like, yeah, be careful if you ever have that many alcoholic beverages dropped on you. Now, Ray, listen, Andy, we pride ourselves on our transitions here, and I have the best transition here. Okay. Andy spoke about his desk at work because I remember the first time I walked over to his desk and I looked and I said, my God, is
what
that
12-year-old
Kit
sits
from
here?
Knight Rider? Is that the DeLorean from Back to the Future? He had every Geek Properties car represented on his desk. And I remember thinking, I'm going to get along with this guy. That's it. Right. And again, it's come full circle now. But for those, we've been talking about sports and we've been talking about work. Andy is a champion in the geek space in a lot of different ways. Okay. And we're talking from the geek, literal kind of comic book, movie side, but also the cinematic TV side. He is a voting member for the Emmys, which we definitely want to talk about. Ray, I'm doing the transition now. I just realized that. I'm sorry. I step on his host abilities all the time, but I'll let you ask the question, Ray. But Andy runs an entire podcast network that's based on geekdom. So I definitely want to spend some time talking about this today.
That was actually exactly where I was going to go with this, was that we were going to talk about the geek stuff and wanted to get into Place to Be Nation and how he started that, why he started that. What his favorite things are in geekdom, and just what inspired him to start this podcast network, and just tell the people a little bit what it's about if they're not aware already.
So we'll talk about my geekdom in a minute, but actually I did not start Place to Be Nation. I kind of have I've been with them about 2 years or so now. It was founded by a couple of guys, Scott Criscolo and JT Rosero. They were kind of like, now you guys are wrestling fans, and we're kind of like one of those underground things. Like sometimes it was kind of like a stigma to wrestling fans, and you kind of you start work somewhere and then you don't talk about wrestling until like you actually overhear a conversation like I'm a wrestling fan, and then you kind of bond. And that's kind of what happened with Justin and Scott. Now, I've known Scott for a long time. He's actually a mutual friend of mine, of my best friends, and he worked in my building. He still does work in my building, works for a different company. And they started doing these things on a blog. I think they were reviewing pay-per-views, old WWF pay-per-views. Then they started, once podcasting came around, they started doing the Place to Be podcast. And it became very popular in terms of wrestling podcasts. People would seek out, like, I want to listen to a podcast about wrestling. They found them. So then they started a network kind of thing where they had there's actually a Place to Be wrestling feed, which has lots of great shows, and they call the Place to Be podcast the mothership because it's kind of the face that runs the place, so to speak. And there's lots of great shows over there, and as run by Scott. And then the website came along, I think it was like 7 years ago, and they started putting articles up. There's a good place for them to put all of the podcasts up. And the pop feed came along because they had people that wanted to do shows on comics. I want to do a show on sports. But it doesn't fit with wrestling, and we have a lot of great wrestling content. Let's do this own separate thing, and anything pop culture related, sports related can go over here. And so I came in, I started doing podcasts about 2 years ago I'm mostly on the pop feed, because I actually just took it over not that long ago, and because we're in a transition period there. And I also do a couple of wrestling shows. You guys have been great enough to be on one of my shows, The Great Debate. We had a special edition and called a Star Wars edition, and I had you two guys on, and you did tremendous jobs. So Place to Be Nation is really kind of like a family these days, where we get people that come in, and then they start commenting on social media. They hit us up, and then they start to come in, and we start maybe like, hey, this guy could be a good guest on the show. Or this woman knows about this. So they start guesting on shows, and eventually they get good and they want to do their own shows. And that's how we've kind of grown. So we have a vast network of many different pods. We've actually had a couple of podcasters spin off and start their own feeds. So it's kind of like, you know, they want to do a little different things, but they want to, you know, keep their relationship with us, which is great. And it is a tremendous thing. And it's a place where we allow people just to, you have an idea, let's give it a shot, kind of thing. Same thing with the website. If you want to, you know, get published, you have a blog, you like to do reviews. We have somebody reviewing, like with Disney Plus coming around, you know, people are like, we have one guy that's doing a review series of all the animated films, another guy now is doing all the live action films. So people are finding their niche, and we provide the platform for the niche, whether you want to do it in written form or you want to do it in podcast form. So it's a good time over there. And wrestling is expanded. It's not just WWE. It's WCW. There's TNA Impact. There's another guy that talks about small town wrestling on a show. We have on the pop feed, we have lots of shows. We have a guy who does this show called Diamond Conversations, just had Kyle Farnsworth. We've had other former major leaguers on there. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. We have another show called It Was a Thing on TV. And then we have all of my shows, which I like to, like you guys do one show a week. I try to do one show a week, but I can't do the same thing every week. Like you guys talk about, you know, geekdom and sportsdom, and that, you know, your material grows every week. And it's a tremendous show. Actually, honestly, it's one of my favorite podcasts to listen to.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
But I like to do, we have this wonderful girl, Jennifer Smith, who has spun off and started her own feed, but she had a show called Freak Out Driving. And it's still around. It's a live watch of a horror movie. And I'm like, that's fun, because you get to like do your own director's commentary. So I came up with the idea for Laugh in Theater, because I'm a big comedy guy. And that's why I had Ray on Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and I had Lee on Back to the Future. Both of you actually tipped your hands on your own show, which led me to, there were both two movies I was dying to watch. I just didn't know who to watch them with. And you spoke about Roger Rabbit, and Lee, I know about his Back to the Future fandom.
Yes.
And those are actually two of my most talked about shows that I hear feedback on.
That's cool.
So it was really great. You guys brought the goods.
Thank you. That's good. That's good to hear.
It's a lot of fun for me too, because it's a one-on-one show. And I get to like really get to know somebody a little bit. And then I have other shows like Great Debate, where it's just throw out topics here and there. Sometimes I do themes. We have other shows in development, but coming up, which hopefully will be a lot of fun for people. But yeah, we're coming out of a transition, because we don't have any comic shows anymore. But we are looking to expand back into that genre. So
it's a good time with what's going on in the comic book world, with a lot of transitions going on there. I don't know. Ray doesn't know much about comics. I mean, he just knows everything. But it is a really great network that you do own now, and that, it's been cool to watch you take over that, because I think it's got a tremendous amount of potential for everything it's doing. So it's a wonderful place. If you have not visited that website, check it out. There's something there for everybody, literally.
Yeah. Plus the two feeds, which, if you're a wrestling fan, it doesn't matter what your wrestling fandom is, there's something for you. And then there's two other feeds. It's the place to be. So it's Place to Be Nation, Wrestling, Place to Be Nation Pop. Then there's also a feed called the North South Connection. That was founded by a few guys that were part of Place to Be Nation, and they do their own wrestling things. And then there's the Jenny Position, which is a mixed bag of pop culture stuff. So check it all out.
Nice. Well, speaking of pop culture and movies, one of our favorite topics recently that we've been talking a lot about is the future of the movie industry and what's going to happen. And you mentioned streaming, Disney Plus. You and me, actually, when we did the Who Framed Roger Rabbit episode, we watched it together on Disney Plus. So we wanted to pick your brain about, there's been this huge pushback between Universal and AMC, and other movie studios have gotten involved, and some places, obviously Warner Brothers is refusing to release Tenet on streaming. They delayed it again for the third time by now, indefinitely. This is, of course, the new Christopher Nolan movie, for those of you who aren't aware. Recently, a big development, Universal and AMC have agreed now to only a 17-day exclusivity. For those of you who don't know, it used to be 3 months that theaters used to get exclusivity before the studio could release it. Now it's 90 days. Now it's only less than 3 weeks. Andy, I just want to get your general thoughts, and we can kind of dig deep on a couple of these things as we go along. What's the future of the movie industry in terms of movie theaters, and where do you see this going, especially while we're still in the midst of this pandemic?
It's unfortunate because going to the movies truly is one of my favorite things to do. I will go see anything in the theater. I love my local chain is Bowtie Cinemas here in Connecticut, and they have the $6, I think it's $7 now Tuesday movie night. Going to the movies to me is just you can escape the world. You can dive in. And nowadays we have the recliners, we have the big, huge screens and everything. Yeah. It's the favorite thing I love to do, especially, my girlfriend and I, that was most of our date nights were going to the movies. And now it's like, all right, well, what's streaming now? What's new on Hulu? What's new on Netflix? And it's really sad because they tried, some of the chains here, try to stay open with some social distancing measures, but you're in an enclosed space. Yeah. So as much as you can social distance, how can you stop people from taking their masks off while they're watching or moving around or stuff getting in the air? I mean, I'm not an expert about exactly how COVID spreads and how it's half-life or whatever you want to call it, but it's really a sad thing for a movie fan right now, because it's great that they're going to bring some movies to streaming sooner. But I mean, I have a nice TV at home, don't get me wrong, but I want to go to the movies. I want to hear. Yeah. Come on. If you hear On Your Left at home, you're just sitting there, you're like, eh. But if you're in the movie theater and there's this big thing going on, and Thanos and Cap's shield is broken, and you're so invested, you're On Your Left, like, oh. It's like not like and you don't have distractions at home. There's so many. You look at your phone. Your kids come in, or you're oh, look, what's my dog doing now? But no, you're there. You're focused on what you're there to see. And there are a lot of movies, yes, smaller movies, dramas. It doesn't matter. The Irishman, same experience probably. Best part though is being able to pause that and go watch it as like a mini series at home. But but those big superhero movies, the big budget sci-fi action, your Avatars, your Marvel, your Star Wars, those all need to be on a big screen. You need to be enveloped in it, audio and video wise.
Yeah, one of the things that we talk about here, and this is another take of yours I want to get, is that, and by the way, Ray and I are like you. I love going to the movies. I love it. I still love it to this day, even though we haven't gone quite some time. But the one thing I don't love about the movies is their failure to innovate over really the last 15 to 20 years with the at-home experience getting so great. And again, the only kind of leverage that they have is, number one, is the screen is obviously a lot bigger, but that's not as powerful as it used to be. And then obviously there's the experience. And what I'm saying, the experience is the popcorn and the waiting line and, that feeling of walking down the hall, going into theater 6. Everybody knows what I'm talking about that loves going to the movies, okay? But it's not enough anymore. They need to innovate. They need to find a way to make it a more 360 full immersion experience. It's worth the amount of money they're asking us. And one of the things that Ray and I have talked about, and this is something I'm predicting, is that you're going to start seeing the Disneys of the world, the Comcasts of the world, Netflix start buying theaters or creating their own theater experience. Now, Andy, if I remember correctly, you were a big goer to Disney with your kids when they were younger. And I remember thinking this: if Disney were to buy a theater and say, look, you can get The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, it's always going to be there. But if you want to spend this amount of money or this per month or whatever, however they break it down, and come to a Disney Experience theater, we're going to give you every episode of The Mandalorian in the theater, popcorn, a toy. We'll give you something you can't get anywhere else unless you go see it in the theater. And it's a subscription base and like it's an add-on. I mean, to me, I would do that in a heartbeat, just a heartbeat. And not to mention that Disney's going to own the theater, which would change everything. And we do know that there are some laws or legislation now that's kind of come off the books where they could do this if they wanted to. So I think that that's the future. I wanted to see if A, if you agree with that, and B, what your thought is. Like, how can they improve the theatrical experience now post-coronavirus, where it's going to make sense for people to go back in droves? Because I agree with everything you said about Marvel. Like, I don't want to see Avengers on my TV if I can help it. Right? I want to see it, period. But I want to see it in the theater.
Yeah, well, if they were to own something and say, hey, come, we're going to show The Mandalorian on the big screen and for like, $5 a showing or whatever, take my money now. I am down for that. how they would do it. I mean, it's you get more promotion, lower. Unfortunately, the concession prices. That's where they make their money. If that may not low. I mean, it's pure profit though. Popcorn, and anybody who's worked in a restaurant or a bar knows that popcorn and soda, like especially fountain soda, is like 99% profit. That's where they make so much money. I mean, I support theaters. Actually, I do buy my popcorn. I sneak in candy, but I'm not paying $5 for a thing of Milk Duds or whatever you want to eat. $1 at Walmart or a supermarket, and I'll give you here some of my money, but you're not getting all of it. Special promotions, windows, limited windows, give something for the kids, a collectible, something that they can remember it by. It's hard because it's an experience, and it just keeps going up the price, and it gets harder and harder. I mean, my kids are now older, so I've gotten out of the we have to see every anime movie phase of life. I mean, we still go see the Pixar movies and the big Disney, but if there's like a lower level anime movie, it's kind of like, no, we're good. We're good, Dad. We're older now, but you want
that's what I have to look forward to. Okay.
Oh yeah, trust me. I have so many DVDs because they're gonna want to watch it over and over and over. Yes. It's kind of the rite of passage though of being a dad of young ones. But yeah, it's really hard to say how they could do it, but I think that's a great idea if they have some of these companies buy it and they can show it there in the movie theater. I mean, I did want to go see The Irishman. I would have sat through it in the theater, but it just didn't work out for me. And I have to, I see a lot of movies because I do movie podcasts a lot. I have shows where we talk about, we talk about the movie season that just passed, and we talk about what's upcoming. And it's like you want to see things because you want to be in the conversation. Yeah, but it gets increasingly difficult.
If they made a safe theater with obviously what's going on in the world today, and like again, you can use Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, whatever streaming service you want. Disney Plus is what, $6 a month right now?
Something like that.
I was thinking about this. You could make an add-on to that for $10 to $15 a month that gives me unlimited theater access. Don't give me the popcorn for free. I still have to pay for that. Like, I'm totally with you on that. I'm just thinking of it from a business point of view. I'd pay that. And the best part is I think a lot of people would pay for that. And I think from a budget standpoint, a lot of people probably would only go once a month. I mean, so you're making the money anyway. You know what I mean? And you're keeping the people loyal that want to go to more movies. You get more popcorn sold. I just think it's an obvious kind of innovation, and I'm very interested to see if they're going to do that. And again, the big objection would be like, I can just watch The Mandalorian on my TV. But I'm like, but don't you want to see The Mandalorian on a gigantic screen, right? Yeah. It's like
that would be awesome.
See IG 88. Yeah, So anyway. It's just an idea. I'm hoping it happens.
Well, those programs too. Like I wish I had an AMC theater near me. That Stubbs program is really good.
It's great. It's great.
I mean, I was one of those people. I had Movie Pass when it went down to I think $10 a month, and I used the living what out of it. I saw movies that I would never see in theaters just because I could. Yeah. And then all the chicanery went around with that company, and then we tried Cinemia, and that didn't last very long at all. And it's going to movies is so much fun. I mean, I went to go see, Bad Moms 2 on a Tuesday night because I love Kristen Bell, but I thought the first one was so funny, and it was one other dude in the entire theater. There were women with hats with have a beer thing on it with like wine. It was like
that's
girls.
Great.
It was crazy.
So that's where they go. We're on to you. No, I'm just kidding.
I sit down in my seat, and the woman next to me just looks at me and goes, "Why are you here?" And I was like, "Oh, because my girlfriend insisted on going to see this with her friend because it was, mom's night out kind of thing." Literally, I'm sitting there and I hear a champagne bottle pop in the middle of the movie. And then I get handed a Jell-O shot. The girl's like, from the ladies down the thing. I'm like, I have my screen down really low. And I text my girlfriend. I'm like, I just got handed a Jell-O shot. And she's like, don't you take it. Who knows who's going to try to roof you and find you. I don't want to come find you in some house in Westport.
You uncovered it.
Like literally.
You uncovered the secret hiding place.
But yeah,
it's amazing.
You can have experiences like that where, you know, you go out and it's whatever it is, you know, it's opening weekend and people dressed up in costume for Star Wars, or it's some up and coming, you know, Marvel movie. It was a huge deal to go see it like that opening night, that Friday night. And it's camaraderie. It's all kinds of great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Lee and I used to go to the midnight screenings for all that stuff a long time ago. Yeah, for sure.
All the time.
But I also want to speak to the point about you guys mentioning like company-owned theaters, and just because I've been very fortunate out here in LA to get to go to a lot of advanced screenings, and one of the places I get to go to, I joke with Lee about this all the time, is that Disney would treats me better than when I worked for Warner Brothers. I'd go to more Disney screenings, but they own the El Capitan, obviously the big theater here, right connected right to the Jimmy Kimmel studio for ABC, and like one of the best things about that experience, and this is the magic of Disney, and this is why they would do it. One of the things they would do is there's this on stage, because it's an old theater, right? There's a big screen now, but there's a stage there from olden times, and they would they have a lift, and out of the lift for the half hour before the movie starts is you have a guy playing on piano Disney songs, like classic Disney songs, and sing-alongs would start and people would have a good time. And you're telling me that a Disney fan that, like, before seeing their Mandalorian screening or seeing Star Wars Episode 9, which I saw in advance, or Avengers, which I saw in advance, or any I'm just rubbing it in. I'm just rubbing it in. I see you like
now. Pointing, like, but I think it's at Lee, not me. So.
Yeah, I'm just rubbing it in. But you know, and you have this extra experience. You have this fun. You're eating your popcorn and you're singing along with people, and you're not telling me like you wouldn't prefer this. I mean, again, this is just something. I'm sick of seeing these stupid ads on the screen before a movie starts. I understand why the theaters need them in terms of money, but like, I just think that you know, being fortunate enough to see some of the experiences you get to have on a lot when you go to some of these private advanced screenings, I think opening that kind of stuff up to the public would be a huge boon for these theaters, and would be a great way to save a lot of these theaters and possibly that part of the industry.
Yeah, make it more of a night out.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a quick market study for Disney, and then we're going to jump off this topic. Okay. but listen. We're going to do this. I mean, we're doing this for Disney in all these places, right? Andy, you have been to Disney World how many times?
5.
Okay, that's plenty, right? So you know how much it costs.
A lot.
You know how much it costs to go individually.
Can I just tell you, today is August 1st. You know where I should be right now? I should be in Orlando, Florida, checking into my hotel at Universal Orlando, because it was supposed to be a big family trip prior to COVID. So I was hitting Universal.
The NBA is there right now, so you can't go.
Yes, so I was hitting Universal, and also we're making a special trip over to Disney to go do Galaxy's Edge. So yes, it was
Okay, no, this is perfect. Okay, so my point is, you know what it costs to go to Disney as both an individual and as a family. Okay, so you know the Disney experience. You know the Disney. What do they call the people that work? They're not characters. They're
cast members.
Like cast members, right? Yeah. What would you pay, knowing that, to go to a theater that is full of Disney casting characters? Okay, so let's just say you're going to see The Mandalorian, right? And they have decked the place out. You have cast members, stars, you know, the Mandalorian's there, you know, in armor, obviously it's just the cast member, and they've made it Disney World for the night. Yeah. Okay. And you're going to get to go see the show or whatever, and they're going to treat you like they do at Disney World. Not only is that a job creator, number one, by the way, but it's also, they're bringing Disney World to your town. What would you pay to go to that?
$25 a ticket.
Right. And that's more than a normal ticket already. So like, this is proving my point. Right? That, like, not only would people be doing that, you would do that for $25. I would spend easily $100 for my family to go there, because it would be worth every.
And I would fall somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
You know,
give me the $30 to $50. Give me the $30 to $50 experience.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's like they can, you know, build, you know, break down sets, everything like that, and they can have people in costumes, and and you can get some photo ops, maybe a souvenir here or there.
Add an element of live theater to the theater. Actually,
you have the marketing in place. All you'd have to say is it's Disney World in your hometown, right? And then, like I said, there's a gift shop. You have to buy concessions, right? You're gonna spend more than what you spend on the ticket. God knows Disney World's the best at that. And get this novel concept. instead of going out to concessions and seeing some high school kid who doesn't really want to be there, which is no offense to that person, but that's every high school kid working a job in a movie theater. And the person's very happy to see you. And like, welcome to the Disney experience, which is super awkward the first time you go to Disney World when you're from New Jersey or Philadelphia, because they're so nice and you're not because you're from the Northeast. And you're like, why are you being so nice to me? I'm uncomfortable. And then 4 days goes by and you're like, hey, everybody. Hi, everybody. And all of a sudden,
this is how it should always be.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Dr.
You start talking like Mickey.
Hey.
Yeah, but I just, it's a no-brainer for me. Again, I don't see the numbers. I don't know what it costs to create something like that, but I think Disney, with everything that they own, you could do it with Marvel. Yeah. Now I do want to shift gears because I this is a question I've been wanting to ask you actually for a long time. And this is actually the perfect venue for it. So Ray and I have talked a lot about things like the Oscars and the Emmys and the Grammys. Okay. Now you are a voting member of the Emmys. Okay. Yes. I have not been particularly happy or trusting of the Academy Awards for some time now. Okay. I think the Emmys run very differently for lots of different reasons. I think the Oscars are very politically charged now. And I think that decisions tend to be made based off of sometimes just feelings and not maybe what's the best cinematic approach to making a film. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree. As a voting member of the Emmys, what is the process with that, number one? And number two is, how do you try and make your decisions? Is it, is it a feeling-based approach? Is it an approach of like, no, I'm really focusing on the best cinematography and I know what that is and that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And number three, did you vote for The Mandalorian? Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Are you going to? Yeah.
Well, we've only, so I've been, I can't remember how long I've been a member, but it's been a long time. At least, I mean, if I was to go get my wallet and find my card, it has it on there. But no, being a member is great too. Especially they've made some strides the last few years about doing more events in New York. We have special screenings. I've gotten to meet some celebrities, gotten to go to some fun events as well. But in terms of voting, the Television Academy was the first guild to say we're going completely online for screeners. So this was the first year anyway that it was going to happen.
That's cool.
So I remember you get all those fun, fancy packages and all that stuff.
Yes, you used to give them to me. You used to give them these gifts. I remember that.
It was a lot of fun. No, legally I can't, but shh.
I used to borrow them. I used to borrow them as gifts.
Yes, used to borrow them, yes.
And then I would give them back.
I destroyed every single screener after I watched it. I destroyed it. No.
Yes.
No, but,
okay, Inspector Gadget.
Well, it's funny. I have a friend who's in another guild, so gets the Academy Award screeners. And it was like, do you agree to these terms? You have to hit yes on the thing. And every time my girlfriend hit no. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, well, there's a lot of legal. No, it's fine. It's okay. We're all right. Just fine. So, so in terms of voting, there's actually 2 periods of voting that we do. The first one is 4 nominations, which just happened. The Emmy nominations came out. So what happens is you vote on, they say you can vote up to however many, 5 or 10 in each category. So you vote for like the big ones, like, best comedy, best drama, best, reality show, whatever. And then you vote for all the categories for your peer group. So I am in the reality peer group because that's what I work on. When I first got in, I was in nonfiction programming and it got split between reality and documentary. And I kind of looked at what I work on. I'm like, I don't do documentary, I do reality. So that's my peer group. So I vote on like stuff like, best cinematography in a reality, best casting, best host, best this, best that. And then, so that happens and we send that in, you do it online now. And then we get our nominations and you have a period of time that you have to, screen all the episodes or the shows that they've submitted. You screen it and then you watch it and then you determine, a lot of times it's stuff I've already seen, or if it's something, there's only so many hours in the day. So you kind of check it out to kind of get a feel for it. And then you make your informed decision. It's like anytime you have to vote on anything really in life, you should make informed decisions. So that's really what it is. It's not that exciting. It's cool that you're a member, but it's basically it's who's the best cinematographer, who's the best. This is the best drama. This is the best sound mixing, best sound editing. Trying to figure out the difference between those two is mind-boggling. But it's fun. getting to vote, and I do it objectively. I try to be as objective as I can when it comes to the voting. Like, this was the best one. You know, do a lot of my choices win? I'm going to say maybe 30%. Often my choice. I'm sometimes in the minority of things, but that's just the way I see things. So it's very cool though.
Yeah. Well, and there are some qualifications to be able to, just so our audience knows, right? It's not, you can't just sign up to do this. Could you just go over what the qualifications are to be able to become a voting member of the guild?
It kind of depends on where you're looking. There's executives. For me, I had to have a certain amount of on-screen credits in a certain amount of time. And I had those from what I was doing back many years ago. And I submitted it, and then I go in, and then, you know, every year I get my thing, I pay my dues, and then it comes through. And it's really cool though, because you get to go to events. Like I said, I've been to screenings for like shows like Divorce, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I got to meet Ellie Kemper, who is a delightful woman, and Jane Krakowski, who is tremendous. She is so nice. My girlfriend took a picture of Sarah Jessica Parker. I got to go to a thing on voiceovers, because one of my dream jobs is to do voices in animated films. So I went and checked this out, and I had a conversation with Eve Plum, aka Jan Brady. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'm very grateful that I get to be in this guild, and I get to vote. And I watch the Emmys, and I'm like, hey, I voted for that. Hey, no. Boo! You know, that didn't win. My choice didn't win. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and very rewarding.
Well, at least it's not mail-in voting anymore, so we don't have to have that debate, which is going to be a hot topic.
Yeah, it used to be Scantron. You know, it's funny. You watch the shows, and you see this is the accounting firm of Andy Sales at I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember I would literally have an envelope like with that on it, and I had to put it in the mail. So it was surreal.
Crazy. So turning things, because I know we're going to finish this up in a minute, because we're actually over time here. I'm going to let Ray do it, but Ray doesn't know I'm about to do this. This is going to be good, but Ray does know that Andy likes to do rapid fire questions at the end of an episode. So I thought it'd be funny if we just, again, this wasn't premeditated. We're just going to fire a few random quick questions at you to kind of repay the debt that is putting you between a rock and a hard place. Because Andy will ask questions that are just impossible. Be like, who's your favorite Star Wars character? And I'm like, screw you, Andy. I can't do that. Which one of my parents, which of my kids do I like more? You can't ask those questions. It's Han Solo. So what? So we're gonna.
It's my daughter.
Ray, it's my. Ray, I've got a few. If you've got one, you jump in here. Okay, but Andy, are you ready for the first ever Geeks Who Like Sports Leaderboard interview rapid fire? The first and only ever done. Okay, ready? Here we go. Best geek movie you've ever seen?
Oh, I gotta say Empire.
Damn, that's a good answer.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
That's
all
fair.
right. Ready? I got one for you. Favorite New York sports team?
Oh, the Yankees.
He's getting these really quick, Ray.
Because I grew up a baseball player, so.
Okay, so favorite World Series Yankees team?
Try to think. Probably was it the 98 Yankees, I think?
Okay.
That was the one that won 114 games.
Yeah,
in the
it was just
season.
insane watching that.
Derek Jeter or Bernie Williams?
Jeter.
Ooh. Oh, that's a tough one, though.
That is tough.
Bernie was solid, but Jeter was the captain. I mean,
Jeter was special, but Bernie was important.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was at Jeter's only Grand Slam against the Cubs.
Okay. Favorite Naked Gun movie?
The first one.
He's good at this. All right. Favorite geek automobile of any type?
Ooh.
Got him.
As cool as the Batmobile is, and as cool as the 18 van and all the other stuff, but you got to go DeLorean. You
do, right?
Jumping through time, man.
Okay.
Unless somehow I got the Jetsons car. But,
favorite Ghostbuster?
Ray.
That's
stands.
tough. I mean,
I love Venkman, love Egon, but Ray was the heart and soul of the Ghostbusters.
Yes, he was.
It's just like the show. Yeah. Okay. A-Team or Knight Rider?
Oh, A-Team.
Really? Mm-hmm. People feel betrayed right now. I hope the Hoff's not listening to this episode. Okay, let's do one final question. Okay, this is going to be a really hard one. You ready? Major League Baseball 2020 or the NHL?
I gotta go NHL. They're
whew.
doing it right, man.
I thought you were gonna disappoint me for that. That has been rapid fire questioning with Lee randomly. Ray, I don't know what side you're on, if you're above me or below me. I'm tossing the ball to you wherever it is.
Awesome, and I'm gonna make.
Thanks so much for being here.
And I'm gonna catch the ball like a Marlin catches COVID.
Wait, I need a trash can to bang on real quick. Nobody saw that coming.
Oh goodness. So. Andy, thank you so much for coming on the show. We could probably talk to you for several more hours, but we're going to let you get back to your Saturday. We really appreciate it.
Lives.
Yes, we really appreciate you coming on, buddy. Obviously, open invite. You're welcome back whenever you want.
Thank you.
And hopefully we can do this again soon. But that is Andy Atherton. Of course, for Lee, I am Ray. Thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Geeks Who Like Sports Leaderboard interviews. We will see you all next time. Good night, everyone.